let's do some social media observations and news. What things should I start with?
I don't know, because I was gonna start you with that Dan Harmon Daryl clip, but I don't know if you'd get flagged for showing it.
I probably would.
Just play the audio.
For being such a good patient. Okay. For taking all the sleeping pills I prescribed to you. So that later tonight, when I'm crawling in your window, I can count on you to sleep like a baby.
Now it's Dan Harmon.
Everything but sleep with yours.
Taking off his underwear and pants with a baby doll, and then proceeding to, like, do the baby. And that's all within the first minute of the...
For anybody who doesn't know, Dan Harmon is the creator of Rick and Morty, which is a very successful show on the Cartoon Network and Adult Swim. And that video, that sketch, that comedy sketch is what he's calling it, appeared. It was on his Twitter. Somebody dug it up. Mike Cernovich and his gaggle of goblins and trolls dug that up and posted it. And I guess there's backlash around that. Now, a couple days previous, the director to
Guardians of the Galaxy,
the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, Gunn, got in trouble because of all his pedophile jokes. And
yeah, James Gunn.
I don't even know if they were jokes. I was reading them. It just looked like outlandish, ridiculous statements he was making to be provocative and sensational. Just saying outrageous stuff that, he was tweeting like a 15-year-old, just trying to say bad words and say bad sentences for the sake of saying it with no real context around it.
Yeah. Oh, dude, those tweets were really nasty too. I'm trying to find some of these, but
yeah. So these guys are there's a thing going on that this stuff is being that they've done years ago is resurfaced, and Mike Cernovich, who is very right-leaning libertarian, is kind of leading a charge against these guys, saying shouldn't these guys get in trouble for making jokes and making offensive material the same way that some people on the right get in trouble for saying offensive things.
Well, right. We just had Roseanne taken off the air for making a quasi-racist joke. Who she claims she didn't even know Valerie Jarrett was black or whatever. So she doesn't look super black. I don't know. She could be who knows? Who cares? The bottom line is it's like, they're out for scalps. Milo Yiannopoulos got taken down because he made jokes about his own molestation when he was young, or his own whatever sexual experiences when he was young, talking about, like, he was joking about himself, and he had to lose his job and career essentially. Yeah. And so now you've got people who are never Trumpers, always Hillary people, and they're, the Cernovich crowd and the right wingers are going after them like, okay, well, if we can't make our jokes, then you can't make your jokes.
And I get that to a certain degree. I wish people didn't get fired over making jokes or making a statement. I think they should be have their feet held to the fire and make them, answer to it if they even feel obligated to answer for it. When it comes to like free speech, I'm fairly liberal when it comes to that. It's like, hey, as long as you're not inciting violence and you're not actively trying to hurt somebody, jokes or statements, okay, let it go. The issue is, I have that viewpoint. The problem is people who want to actively get people fired because they said something offensive, whatever they deem to be offensive. If a group of people find something offensive, then they will try to get that person fired, have their career ruined or shamed. But when that same group has a member that says something offensive, they don't want to be held to the same standard that they hold another group to. So it's very hypocritical. You can't live by a set of ethos or a set of ethics that apply to everyone else and then live by a different code for yourself. It's illogical. It's inconsistent, and it's creating exactly the environment that's happening now in social media.
Won't it be fun when no one can make any jokes about anything? That'll be a real fun place to be.
Yeah, I think I when it comes to Dan Harmon and his comedy bit,
it's not funny, dude. That is creepy. You should watch that video. It's really bad, and the guy is kind of pervy. I mean, some of these tweets, when you combine stuff like that with the tweets, you're like, and we know with Harvey Weinstein and all these other things that are going on. Corey Feldman, full of pedophiles, all that stuff. I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't know that they're doing it as a tit for tat. You could make the argument that they've been after the Pizzagate, Hollywood, pedo ring bull crap for however long that's been going on. But I do think that you're creating an environment where everyone's going to be scared to say anything.
Yeah, that's the bit of the issue, though, is that the people who are currently being scrutinized, they're part of like, hey, you can't use this language because it's going to create an environment of normalcy when it come to using these jokes. And with like Dan Harmon's like sketch of pedophilia, I'm not like I didn't find it funny. I didn't find James Gunn tweets funny. I do like raunchy comedy. I do like some raunchy stuff. I didn't find that stuff funny. That's just my taste. There's other people out there that may have found it absolutely hilarious. But those tweets and that material did offend a group of people. Should those people who are offended not be heard? Much like any other group, So if you're gonna validate someone's jokes and say it's funny to us, therefore he shouldn't be fired, so why shouldn't that apply to the other side? It gets very convoluted. It's binary thinking, but that's what's happening. This binary thinking that is being used now online, it is painting people into a corner, and the people who are using it are now being painted into a corner. And the same tactics they use against people to get them fired is being used against them, and they don't like it.
Yeah, that's true. And there's already a petition to get Gunn reinstated as director too. So, it's like people will come out to defend all these people, but if you come out to defend Roseanne, for example, you're a Nazi. Might as well be.
Yeah, I didn't find her tweet funny because, quite frankly, I as a comedian, which she is a comedian. As a comedian, I expect her to write something funnier. Yeah. If you're gonna do like a more of a risky race joke, fine, but make sure it's funny. Yeah, you can't just throw anything out there. And people use Twitter as basically a spitboard. They just throw anything out there. If something sticks, great. But they're trying to use it as their own brainstorming session, and they can't do that because everything's documented and kept out there forever. And now these people are actively going back through all their Twitters from years and years ago and trying to scrub it. And they should have been a little bit more mature about it. But I guess that's too much to ask.
Oh yeah,
for people to be mature on social media. What the fuck am I thinking?
Civil and mature, yeah. This is the internet. Welcome to the internet, where all those things. Leave your civility and maturity at the door.
What planet did I wake up in?
Exactly.
I mean, but that's what I love about the internet. If you go on 4chan, I mean, that's what I think about, like something like 4chan. 4chan is amazing. I go there and I see some of the most racist stuff. People get mad. I know gay people who won't let you say faggot. I love saying faggot. I love calling people faggots. It's fun. It's like, why do you? I'm personally of the mind that, like, if you're being offended is offensive to me, like, what are you offended about? Like, it's like nothing should offend you that much that you're like going to go, well, I never, because if it's all subjective, then everything is hate speech. If you don't use the pronouns, that's hate speech, and everything's offensive. Trump's speeches are hate speech. Having a Trump shirt on is hate speech. Having a Make America Great hat on is hate speech. So it's all hate speech.
As long as you're not calling for, like I said, as long as you're not calling for violence or like saying like grandiose, bigotry statements about groups of people. I mean, it's immaterial to me. But hey, what do you guys got to say? 614-388-9109. I don't know if anyone out there has an opinion on this. I'm sitting back and watching watching this go on, and I'm fascinated because it can only end with more tit for tat stuff. And who is going to have a reasonable and sound statement to make either side cool it? I don't know if there is a person who is capable of doing that. Each side will eat their own. If you're not totally sworn to allegiance against the other side, is absolutely ridiculous. And I know this stuff with the James Gunn being fired and Dan Harmon being called to task is only fueling the fire. And ideally, it should just be let go and hey, it's their thing. They shouldn't be fired. But at the same time, I kind of get that they're being called out on their hypocrisy and the same tactics being used against them. So now I'm just repeating myself.
Yeah, it's fun. This Cernovich thing. He's one of these characters that I'm just never really quite sure how to take, because I feel like he came out of nowhere.
I don't think
there's something about him. Yeah, there's something about him that just seems strange. That how did this guy just all of a sudden become a thing? It's the same with the Jack Probiasek or whoever on the right. Where did you come from? Why are you all over my face right now? Stop people retweeting him. I don't want to see this guy. I don't know who this guy is, and everything he does is.
What's his name?
Jack Probiasek or something. He's the guy who.
Jack Sack.
Jack Sack. Yeah, it's Jack Sack. Sackenhammer.
I've never heard of this. I've never heard of this person. I don't know what that is. I've never seen that before. I don't. Jack Probiasek. So what? Why are people Why are people tweeting him to you? I'm curious.
It's no, he's just all over Twitter. He's the guy who stood up in that the Caesar play in New York City where they had Trump getting killed.
Oh, okay. All right.
The Trump looked like getting killed. Probiasek or something. He was the one who disrupted it. Him and Laura Loomer, this other right winger. So it's I think they almost seem like what do they call the agent provocateurs or something?
Yeah. I don't know where he is. I don't know.
What planet did you come from?
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's it just kind of this whole thing will just devolve down until no one can do anything anymore. So yeah. I just want everyone to be cool, chill out, and be nice. And if you get offended, say, hey, that material's not for me, and move on, But this has gone back. It reminds me of what Tipper Gore was doing back in the 80s with the offensive music of heavy metal and rap, or when Ice-T put out Cop Killer by Body Count, and people were up in arms over that. That was offensive art. And so should Ice-T not be able to perform anymore? One segment of the population would say, yeah, this has been going on for a long time. It's only been hyperized and magnified because of social media. Now every little thing is looked at, and everyone, if you look hard enough, is going to do something or say something that is offensive, and oh my God.
It's going to be great. It's going to be so much fun, everybody, when no one can say anything. Let's all walk on eggshells.
Yes.
Die, Hitler!
You got anything else about this, or do you want to move on? No one's calling in about this. Maybe they love this.
Maybe they do love it, and maybe they love pedophiles. Who knows?
They probably do.
I'm more curious.
I don't think so.
People are no, it's Posobiec.
I kind of want to see what this guy looks like.
Here, I'll send you this story.
Okay.
He's just one of these guys. Where the hell did you come from? Why are you all you do is you say crazy right wing shit, and then now you're I don't know.
Now he's famous?
Yeah, he was on the Rebel news channel and all this stuff, I think. I don't know. He's just I don't know where he came from. It's
yeah, I don't
this kind of stuff always creeps me out a little bit, because I'm just
Yeah, this guy, protesters disrupt Shakespeare in a park play in outrage over its Trump-like Julius Caesar. Okay, two protesters interrupted the Park Theater Shakespeare in the park performance of Julius Caesar on Friday night. One of them crashing the stage to yell, "Stop the normalcy of political violence against the right."
Yeah.
Okay, this is unacceptable. Okay, so yeah, I would say agent provocateur.
I think so.
I have no other information. I'm going with my intuition here that this guy is BS and don't trust him.
I already unfollowed him. I probably ought to block him because it's again, people retweet this guy. It's like, make him go away. I don't like him.
I don't really trust anybody who starts calling for violence and starts to hyperize somebody and like work people up. That's
and it pushes the polarity, like the binary aspect that you talked about earlier. Like these kinds of people, I think, and Cernovich, going after scalps and stuff. It's like, obviously we don't want pedophiles around. And I think that there's something to be said about that. It's worth mentioning.
Yeah.
But I like, if you're just going to do the exact same thing on the other side, this is why the alt-right is so ridiculous. It's like, so white identitarianism and white nations and all this stuff, like that's where we want to go with this. Like no. I don't understand this. Like,
it's absurdity.
Extreme multiculturalism on one side, where it's like we should just import people from everywhere and give them all free shit, and then you have we need a white nation.
Yeah, it's absurdity and it's polarity. It's absolutely ridiculous. And if you could sit back and if you watched it as like some sort of like video game, you would laugh. It's ridiculous. If like you played like The Sims, you had like a segment of the population just so out of control. They're going into lunacy land. This is crazy town.
We should take all the people who are this crazy and the flat earthers, put them in a Sims game in the living room with no fun anything, and then delete all the doors on the room.
Well, you know who would win? Because the flat earthers would discover in the Sims game that it is flat, because Sims game is a flat earth.
It is a flat earth. They would win.
They would win.
They'd be totally right in that space.
Yes, they would.
Do you remember when people would do that and they would record the Sims? You'd like take the door away and then they'd die or whatever.
Yeah. It's fun to torture Sims sometimes.
It's fun to watch somebody die.
It's sometimes, yes, it is.
I wonder what that says about a person. It's like, I'm going to get this guy a lesson and a job and a house just to watch him die.
Yeah, I'm gonna build a nice life for this guy, and then I'm gonna make a bathroom. He's gonna go in there, and then I'm gonna remove the door so he can never leave. He's gonna live the rest of his stupid Sim life trapped in a bathroom full of shit.
What does this do to you? Like, did you ever do that? You never did that. Did you?
In the Sims game, sure, absolutely.
You did that?
Oh, of course.
You were a Sim killer.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I
don't think I would get any pleasure from it. It just seems, I don't know.
It's bizarre, but I just wanted to see like what the bounds of the games were. What would the game allow you and not allow you to do? I kind of like testing the limits of the game that way. So